Welcome to Bringing Spirit Home. I am Tyrell Blackmoss, or TVN. My pronouns are they, them, and he, him. I'm the child of Venus and Carlton Childs, standing on the shoulders of my African ancestors, rooted to the lands of my Afro-Native American ancestors, and embedded in the culture and the traditions of my African American heritage and my Black political understanding. I am a space holder, a bridge between the physical and spiritual realms. My art is the reaction and the action of holding that space. So what are some of the challenges and the goals and the questions that have driven my art practice and my social practice? So I believe the first question, challenge, and goal has been my healer's calling. I had a healer's calling from a very young age. When I was born, I had a patch of red hair in the back of my head. The question that has guided my art practice, if I'm being very blunt, it has been, why am I so sick? And why are we collectively so sick? If I'm speaking more broadly, and after I've done years of that intentional healing work and lots of therapy, over a decade of therapy, the question has become, how are we all connected to each other, and why did we decide to come to this planet right now? What did I want to do and why? A thread in my artistic practice has been creating places of refuge. When I was younger and in undergrad, I decided that I was going to go back to undergrad so that I could learn the skills to be able to open a nonprofit that provided for all the needs of an artist: workspace, housing, career advice, supplies, etc. Now that I have remembered and accepted and deeply trained in my healer's calling, now I spend a lot of time listening and following the guidance from the ancestral planes and the webs woven by my biological and chosen family. So what does that listening look like? What is that listening to the ancestral planes and the webs woven by my biological and chosen family? What does that look like? So it looks like lots of ways. It looks like lots of things. One of the ways that I'm experimenting now is how do I create an artifact from all of the spiritual traveling? How do I pull it and guide it to become a physical object? Something that can act as archive, can act as a memory holder, that can act as a moment in time where all of the spiritual happenings can flow down into something physical, something that we can hold, something that we can touch, something that we can pass on to children while passing on the stories of the experiences that I have experienced and other spiritual practitioners have experienced. So for an example, I'm going to read a brief proposal that I submitted for this exhibition called Hand Tools of Resilience. This is an exhibition of all Black and Indigenous artists who are actively working with spirit in their process of creating physical objects. So this is my short proposal that I submitted. I propose to make a carved ironwood wrench, and I'll show you all some ironwood. I have some footage out in the ironwood forest that I can add to this video as well. So a carved ironwood wrench, stained haint blue, polished with HJC and frankincense oils to announce the defiance in this house toward generational curses. And here's a quote from some research. Haint is an old Southern word for a specific type of ghost or evil spirit from the Carolina coast, but found in tales from various regions of the South. Belief in haints probably originated with the Gullah Geechee people. Descendants of African slaves in the Carolina Low Country and Barrier Islands. I see the wrench displayed I see the wrench displayed among soft and delicate objects like a quilted pot holder made from shades of haint blue and a found teacup. The materials are a culmination of a black indigenous person, me, called to the Southwest. The function is a transformed use of a wrench and the self-power gained from turning to acknowledge instead of running from a haint. The wrench is also heavy as hell if the haint shows up again. Why do I want to engage with ironwood? Why do I want to engage with the haints? Because it answers my that question. Why am I so sick? Why are we so sick? How are we connected to each other? Why did we show up here and now? So to create this artifact, these artifacts feels like a summary to all of the things that I experience in the spiritual realm that is not as easy to share with others. It's not as easy to like I can't be like, here's my vision, here you go. I can't like immediately bring it, so let me bring it to a physical object that allows a piece, a part, a summary of what I experienced in the ancestral realms for us to unfold that story together and see how an object can show the ways that we are connected to each other. Who or what are the influences that inspire my practice? Right now, I am really inspired by folks who are working very deeply in the South to get land back, to get Black farmers trained, to archive the information of the Black elders and transmit that information to the Black youth who are interested in farming, who are interested in sustainable practices. Specifically, I'm super inspired and low-key intimidated by the work being done within the Black Sustainability Network. It's very exciting to me to be part of another wave that decides to go back to Africa, to be part of a wave that is really acknowledging indigenous roots and the ways that indigeneity has survived and it continues to thrive, and being a part of a generation where some of the secrets and some of the veils around traditional practices are being lifted, and we are being called to share this information and these ways of being and these spiritual technologies, being called to share this work with other people to answer, for me, the question, how are we all connected? And what are we supposed to be doing together? Why did we choose to come here right now? What am I learning right now as I move through this practice? It is definitely very, very, very difficult to figure out how to translate and pull the spiritual information and the information of all these geographies into a physical form. I have been working in film and teaching workshops and teaching semester-long classes about how to dream with your ancestors, and all of that work is super beautiful and super exciting and super fulfilling to me. But now to figure out how to translate it into the physical, that is more difficult for me. So what did I learn? In the difficulties of shifting the spiritual to the physical, what I'm learning is that I have to play with others. So I went out with my partner and one of my new apprentices, Stevie, out into the desert. Ivan, my partner, had helped me cut the ironwood. Ivan taught me how to sharpen the machete. I've been talking with my cousin. I've been talking with my mom. In all of these ways, the ironwood really reminds me of relationality, and that when there is something dense, something really heavy, something that has taken hundreds of years to grow, hundreds of years to be cultivated, hundreds of years to exist, you have to work together to shape that into something that can sustain you. And that's just such a huge metaphor for colonization. Colonization is something that has taken hundreds of years to solidify. And it is going to take us working together to be able to shape it or dismantle it into something that sustains us and all of our families. Beginning to see my work as a prism, my work as a space to hold light and distribute rainbows. And I'm wondering if part of pulling other people into this work is about making it shinier rather than easier to consume. And that process of allowing something to be light and shiny when it is like wrapped up in so much historical trauma, like feels so good. You feel me? It feels so good.